Hello and welcome to another news update. It's August 4th right now, although I'm recording this to be released on August 5th. Normally I try to make these the day of, so that way it has as much up-to-date news as possible, especially since, a lot of NCSoft is asleep over the weekend. Fair enough, have your weekends, but it does create the problem now that there's no news from the last week. Like, literally none. There's been no news updates on the official website or Discord whatsoever. And part of that is because our dear Ronan, community manager, has been on vacation, kind of. What's going on with that? Let's get into it. So because there's no news this week, you just get to hear me rant for a little bit. By the way, I'm also going to be including the bestie bottle in this video for those who liked the hide and seek Easter egg portion of that. I think it's fun, but there are no codes to give away. Those were all given away on my stream at the end of the month, because we do have to get those out in a timely manner, and the end of the month was the mark. So no code right now, but you can still do the Easter egg hunt just for the fun of it. Anyways, getting into the actual beef of things, we have Ronan was on vacation, and the patch dropped, and then some stuff happened. He got called back on vacation. How do I know this? Because I was having a stream during the time, during my last giveaway stream actually, and he popped in the chat telling us, hey, I got called into work because apparently people are unhappy, and NCSoft called him in because they're trying to do something about it. Now granted, none of this is official news. There's no official word on anything that I'm about to talk about, so please keep that in mind. Have a little grain of salt there. But there was some stuff that happened during this conversation on the Twitch stream that I wanted to talk about. To start off, I think the fact that Ronan was pulled in from his vacation in order to address this issue shows that NCSoft knows that something is wrong, particularly pertaining to the Battle Pass. Now, a lot of players seem to be very upset about the new Battle Pass, particularly because there's no Purple Selector. We've had a Purple Selector box for the last 2 Battle Passes. People were hoping for another one this time. However, we also knew that there was a high likelihood there wasn't going to be one, and lo and behold, there's not. Now, in Korea, there was extra time between patches that they got that we are not getting, and because of that, they had extra Battle Passes that we never had, which meant that they had about 4, I believe, Battle Passes that gave Purple Selector chests before Silverfrost happened, and we've only gotten 2. Granted, we have a much shorter time period between that, but of course the fact remains that we just don't have access to the same items and the same progression tools needed for our characters as other players in other regions had, and keep in mind those players in those other regions also have had a much larger slew of really good events, or at least better events than we've gotten, in order to actually do their character progressions, be able to make sure they're able to run these dungeons. As a case in point example right now, I was talking with a very high-ranked Warlock player. You can see in this chat here, he goes by the name YYC, number 1 NA. There's no Warlock in NA that has a legendary skill right now, so we're working with full purples. And on full purple skills and completely maxed out gear, Warlocks can't do enough damage for Shadowsea Garrison. It's legendary or bust, it seems, and even then you're struggling to try to actually hit that mark. So that's a problem. For other classes, of course, they're going to be doing a bit better. There are groups of people clearing that content currently. However, it's few and far between. And I know a lot of people probably quit this game now because of the fact that they saw that, hey, you're not going to help us with reasonable progression for the average player, so why would I care anymore if you don't care? That whole kind of situation. And that brings me to my second point, character progression and events that tie into it. There were gold events in Korea that they had, and when I say gold events, I mean there were little boxes in the Dragon Trader Express, whatever, the same way that we have the weapon skin boxes now, that you could buy for about 10 gold a piece, and they had a low chance, but not a non-zero chance, of getting you legendary skills, purple boxes, and some really good stuff. Now, when this came out on Korea, people were able to spend about 45 to 60k worth of divine gems in order to just buy, say like 3,000 gold, buy 300 of these boxes, and then just get a legendary skill out of it, because that's about what the odds are. About 1 in every 200, I think, or so, should get you a legendary. book from those gold boxes that they had in Korea. And players in NA have been waiting for that kind of event for a very long time. It was confirmed, at least in the chats that we had during the Twitch stream, which again are right here. Apparently NCSoft never wanted to do that for NA EU region because they were afraid of the perception that this was too much of a gamba, and they seem to have this idea that NA and EU just doesn't like to see gamba events. And to that degree, I kind of have to agree and disagree. At least where it was in my chat, they heavily disagreed. Now granted, there are quite a few whales in my chat, to be fair. However, the main point here is that if you're not going to be doing other events to allow characters to progress, all we get is a Lucky Pig event and like the Carry Me If You Can events, which got us, what, a random purple? One? Like, congratulations. You're not actually giving players progression. Real player progression that you're giving them is, you know, making sure that they can get things that they can choose for themselves to make sure that they're getting what they want. Purple selector chests. Blue selectors chests do not count anymore in NCSoft. Those things are worthless. They're dog water. You can get the same blue skills that you want from the market for like 400 divine gems. That's like a week of farming for any average player, and you can get 3 of those by just selling the gold that you get for a week. It's pointless. Anyway, I digress. The fact of the matter is, while NCSoft was correct to see that NA and EU regions don't appreciate to see huge gamba events that heavily favor whales that much, they would prefer to see that to allow players who are like average to below average at least a chance of better progression than to just have nothing. And that's what we've been getting a whole lot in these last couple months, is a whole lot of basically nothing. On top of that, even the aesthetic events going on right now, the whole like 4-leaf clover event that's going on, you have a chance to get the aesthetic, the cosmetic, the big Super Saiyan hair, cow outfit, whatever you want to call it. It's a chance. And you have to grind that shit to get the clovers, and even then, it's only a chance. People will be doing the event and still not be able to get it, even though they want it, and I think that's kind of criminal. I think it's ridiculous, the fact that something like that doesn't at least have a pity system. So it's like, oh, if you spent, you know, 100 or 200 clovers on this and you still haven't gotten it, there you go, you get it for free. So that way, at least people who did log on every day to try and get that cosmetic are guaranteed to get it, even if they get smacked by big RNG. But no, that's not the case. And yes, people are angry. So here we are. So what are the big takeaways from all of this? Well, you have to give NA and EU players more of a chance to actually progress their characters in a meaningful way, and no, a random purple chest is not the way to do that. People are willing to spend money on these battle passes or the gems that they've grinded during their days in and out playing this game in order to make sure that they can get consistent character progression, and NCSoft seems to just be losing touch day by day on that entire topic. So we need to get events that are bringing things back. I personally do hope we see a gold event at some point, but dear God, I hope it's not just announced a day before it happens, because I want to be able to save up to get that stuff. I want to be able to know like a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance, 3 weeks in advance, like, hey, we're going to be getting this, so that way I can save up. So that way I'm not broke as fuck from failing my 5th, 6th, 7th attempt at upgrading some equipment, just to then find out that all that gold that I spent on nothing could have actually been gone towards a gold chest that would have gotten me a lot more stuff. Potentially. It's all RNG. I also just want to see, in lieu of that, better events that actually help characters progress outside of 700 extra EXP every 5th dungeon you run. Lucky Pig event, there you go. Or things like that. We need the battle passes to consistently give us purple selectors until people are averagely geared enough to be able to do the content that NCSoft wants us to do. I have this feeling that, especially with Silver Frost approaching in less than a month now, players just aren't where they need to be. And NCSoft knows that, and NCSoft is seeing players just lose interest the less and less we get for our own character progressions, but they seem to have their hands tied about what to do, as if it's not super obvious, because they can't just believe that they can give us like an actual worthwhile battle pass and be able to get the stuff that we want. I don't know. Either way, that's my rant. There's no news this week, but there is some juicy, nice stuff that you got to see here. So hopefully we see something soon. Of course, we have the server merge happening today. With that, maybe they do something. Maybe NCSoft announces something. That is my hope. That's the copium I'm sipping on right now, breathing it in. So we will see. Until next time, Peace.